What's up, everybody? Happy Thursday. It feels like it's Friday to me. Usually I'm off on Fridays with my schedule because I'm working around 12 hours a day from way early in the morning to way early at night. Sorry, way early in the morning till like 5:30 to 6:30 in that area. Sometimes it just fluctuates when we get off, but usually we're not off Thursdays. Usually we're working Thursdays as well. We have it Thursday and Friday off this week, so fantastic. So you're going to get even more than we're podcasting and conversation than you are normally accustomed to with us. Even though we try and put as much content as possible, when we can't do these type of shows, we cover that by writing the articles. And, if something feels like it's a better for an article, we'll write it as an article. If something feels like it's better for a podcast, we'll do it as a podcast. Um, but I've been very much enjoying talking to wide varieties of LSU fans recently and getting to know a lot of new folks within the LSU fan base. And in the description of this video is a link to a chat we just had last night with the Go Team podcast here on YouTube. Definitely subscribe to their channel, support what those guys do. They have been 6 decades worth of LSU fandom. They've just today showed me a photo where it's all of them in their youth, in the twilight of their youth, with their father who's now passed on, sadly. But they have this absolute treasure of a photo where it's all of them together in Death Valley at an LSU game. And I got to speak to these guys last night about, they were very cool, very beyond inviting and welcoming. These guys, it made you feel like you were sitting at the dinner table with them. Like, they have given me such a great vibe. They're not only extreme professionals, these guys, in what they do. I really feel like they actually host these podcasts very, very well. I'm more a natural writer than a speaker, so it's kind of like something I have to work on and maintain some type of consistency with. Those guys felt like naturals last night, and I really enjoyed that conversation. There was just we're talking, of course, about the Nussmeier stuff, and what LSU fan isn't? Who isn't? Like, show me someone who isn't, at least, like, even if you're sick of it, you're annoyed by it, driven to madness by the twists and turns of this whole thing. You're still, you got to get to the bottom. You have to get to the bottom of this thing. And same thing with me. And that's why we're kind of being relentless in this quest to try and figure this out. And I'm very puzzled because, and I want you guys to pay very close attention to this. I want you to be very hyper focused in what I'm about to say. I feel like the takes from some of the LSU media members in the recent days have been really suspect, really weird. Mike Scarborough said that there's no way Nussmeier's even hurt, and that Nussmeier is just terrible. Someone he said was going to be, we were going to finish 11-1. Mike Scarborough saying we're going to finish 11-1, and Nuss looks great throughout fall camp, but now suddenly Nuss isn't hurt. He's just that bad and was always that bad. So it's very puzzling, some of these narratives. And I'm not trying to take a shot at Mike Scarborough or do anything like that. I'm just simply saying what he said. I was shown that by a certain person on Twitter. I won't reveal who, just out because I haven't asked them if that would be okay, really. But and they said, he's saying he's not even hurt. And it's kind of like, okay, well, Brian Kelly, our head coach, has said Nussmeier is hurt twice. Okay, our head coach himself. And then when Nussmeier is asked about his own health, Nussmeier is obviously like I don't want to talk about that and kind of uncomfortable about it. Anyone who's seen Nussmeier throw a football can understand that this isn't just like he's regressing. Even if he's regressing, he's not going to just like completely not be able to physically put everything into a football pass over 30 yards. Like, what we're seeing is also a physical phenomenon of just pure injury. It's not anything to do with, sometimes you have to know, like, really pay attention to people's built-in biases and what they're able to believe. And so I think Micah's told by someone probably pretty credible, but someone with a narrative and someone with an axe to grind, that he's not hurt, he's just terrible. And then this kind of becomes a thing, a vendetta, feels like he's been lied to, and I've really found the truth. He's not even hurt. He's just bad. And it's kind of, I feel it's a little disingenuous because, yes, you could say that Nussmeier has been bad. He has been. He's his lowest production, some of the worst decision making he's had. You didn't think you would see those type of interceptions again this season. And not only have you seen them, you've seen them in the red zone. You've seen them at moments when LSU just could not afford to have these type of plays. But you've also seen everything around him structurally set up to fail from the beginning, from this offense. Just completely set up to fail structurally. Collapsing offensive line. He's getting pressured from all sides. 7 sacks in 5 games. He was sacked 16 times over 13 last year. I just, I'm not saying that Nuss, that is the thing. I think some people have kind of abandoned reading comprehension skills, and instead, when someone such as myself, which is who we're talking about here, when someone reports that Nussmeier, yeah, he's hurt, everyone knows that. Kelly has said that multiple times. Other folks within and around LSU have mentioned it about him being limited players. When that type of stuff is reported, and you're saying, okay, Nussmeier has hurt. I'm hearing that he's going to be shut down and he's going to go for surgery and all this stuff. I asked LSU about this, and they said there's no truth to it at all, and that is it. And then it becomes that you reported that Nussmeier was going to be shut down and was going to have a surgery. You see what I'm saying here? Like, where people's reading comprehension skills have gone down the toilet. If you're literally saying, I heard this and I asked about it, the place, the subject of this is denying it. Someone close to Nussmeier as well denied it. But that person also denied that something was going on before when an injury happened as well. So it was kind of interesting with that. And so when you're asking the officials what's true or not, and okay, here's their answer, you're doing it for like the courtesy of the public to know, like, and for the public to decide. It wasn't me deciding if Nussmeier was being shut down and having surgery. I don't know the answer to that question just yet. Brian Kelly saying that's not true, it's misinformation and all that stuff. I'm not sure who would have circulated that Nussmeier tore all this stuff and he's being shut down for sure, surgery. I'm not sure who was posting about that, because what we posted was we heard this talk, we've seen this rumor. We, like we've done many times, but because it was such a notable player, I made a public thing about it by saying, like, we asked LSU about this, and LSU said this is bullshit. I was actually the one trying to, like, say, prove or disprove something, actually trying to, instead of just speaking shit out into existence, I was actually trying to do the work of a damn journalist, and we did. However, the public made their decision, and they didn't believe what LSU said. The public made their decision. They didn't believe what Brian Kelly was saying. They still don't. But what I'm thinking is really kind of bizarre right now is the way things are taking a turn, where some really bizarre narratives are being formed because of personal axes to grind biases, and this happens with LSU because we care so much. It happens with LSU fans, LSU media, because we care so much. But you also see people who have access to certain financial commitments from LSU in the media world who are financially tied with LSU, or the flagships, spokesman, those type of people. I'm not condemning every one of those people or saying anything that, whatever. These people have a job to do. They're doing their job. I support them. No problem with that. But for me and my job and what I'm trying to do, um, there's kind of a gatekeeping thing about it as well. Like, hey, if you aren't one of us, how could you possibly know? How could you know if he's going to have surgery or be shut down? How would you even know? And I heard a certain podcaster saying that today, and it was like, if you're not paying your mortgage with the blood money of propaganda money, corporate media money, then you couldn't possibly know. And it's like, actually, sir, I've beaten you to probably like 30, 40 different stories, major nationally breaking news stories. And that set the news cycle for you and me and everybody else who covers LSU. So, with all due respect, you can belittle and go after people who aren't part of the propaganda wing of media, who, this is what you say, these are the talking points, and it's not necessarily like you're working for Israel or something where they're having a summons about everything you're going to cover and how you're going to do it. But what are production meetings? It's so you get it all right. It's so there's no slip ups. The messaging is on point. Is that everything is ready to go? That's not only from like a stylistic standpoint. It's also from just being professional, having a professional show that goes in and out of the ad reads and all that stuff on time. That's a big part of radio, a big part of the production of all of it. I understand that from that point of view, but with money and financial ties, nowadays a lot of people will say almost anything if the price is right. And you are seeing that invade sports journalism, or what should be sports journalism, where instead of having the balls to maybe put your neck out there for a story here and there, you just kind of sit back, wait for someone to do the hard work, and then steal the info from them, wait for them to be reporting something in a fluid situation, manipulate what they've reported so that they look like they're wrong, and manipulate that to your audience so that you can kind of screw them over, kind of cancel them in a way. And then you can kind of gatekeep and overlord things through that. And we've seen that with the LSU media. I've seen it with my own eyes. Um, and you wouldn't believe how nasty some of those people can be. And it's a fear of, you're about to take my job. You're not coming into my territory to come close to doing that. And I will do anything at any cost to get you the F out of here, because you're a dangerous person, which is exactly what good journalists are supposed to be. Dangerous to the people in power, dangerous to positions of power, willing to call them out and ask the tough questions that a lot of the talking heads are paid not to ask. And that's why you hear a lot of ho-hum takes nowadays where this is a nothing burger. This is nothing. This is nothing because my son just got a new jet ski and we got a new hot tub, and it is nothing, except it got me that new Traeger grill. But really, the sponsorships. So I'm not making fun of people who have more money than I do. I'm not making fun of people who make money off of this. I'm not making fun of people who have sponsorships. I'm not making fun of any of that. We've had sponsorships in the past. We have folks who have financially sent us money to say, hey, I love what you're doing. I want to keep you afloat. Here's some money. Here's a few $100. Hey, I want you to be able to travel to this game. Do you need help? Do you need help with a ticket? Here's a few $100. We've had those type of people. I've sent some of that money back multiple times, and there's people who can absolutely attest to that, where people are pushing money on us, and I do get a little afraid of that because I see what can happen. Because I've seen it with so many of our own media guys where they get in these kind of, they get tied in where it's the corporate media landscape gets tied in with the official subject of a lot of these things, whether that's LSU, whether that's the FBI, whether that's the White House, it's this type of stuff has infected a lot of American life nowadays, where you're really not sure who's telling you the truth, because a lot of people, especially in independent media, which you thought was untouched from dirty money, it actually is the most touched by dirty money now at this point. So for all the talk of corporate media and all, yeah, but at least there is some above board things. At least we can see where these people are getting the money from. Independent media, you have no clue. And so I understand why the person who was mocking the podcaster today, who was mocking independent media, and unless you're part of the propaganda arm that pays this with their mortgages and all that, how would you know these stories? Because these people are going to get that story. You're not going to come close. And it's like, actually, I've gotten those stories while working as a fucking security guard in Utah, not in Louisiana. So it can be done. That's all I'm saying. Not saying I'm better than anyone else or whatever like that, but saying it can be done. With that said, I just want everyone to be very careful about, if you really want to know the truth to this story, don't listen to people with inbuilt biases. They're not going to tell you if they hate Garrett Nussmeier. They're not going to tell you if they have a special relationship with his family. I will tell you that. I have told you that. I have told you exactly how I know Nuss, what I know of Nuss, the nature of the relationship I have with his family. It's not as extensive as I would like. I love those people. It's not as close as maybe I am with other people, but I definitely know them and like them and absolutely pull for that family. That said, what did I say after the game? I actually said Nuss might have to get pulled. And, you got to realize I'm making content while a bunch of these other people are posting their stuff or whatever. So I'm not seeing what other, the takes of the land. I'm doing my own stuff to be, part of that. I'm trying to produce my own stuff, right? In my own head, I'm thinking, oh my God, guys, I don't know what I'm about to do. I'm just setting it up like, this is going to be crazy. And I tell Chelsea, I'm like, wish me luck. I'm about to do a podcast where I say we might have to bench the starting quarterback. This is going to be crazy. And she was like, you're going to say bench Nuss? She's like, I thought you loved Nuss. I'm like, I do, but he's absolutely messed up right now. He's hurt in like 2 places. And go and do the show. And I say that. And I was shocked, absolutely shocked by how many people agreed or were saying it like, and I'm thinking, if Nuss heals, then okay, we'll see the same old Nuss that we had at a bunch of points last year, throwing for 4,000 yards. Surely that would, with this defense, that would that would make it happen for us, right? But it's not that easy. It's not that simple. Nuss's injury isn't even the worst thing about this offense. It's you have a quarterback who has an abdomen, oblique, torso, whatever it is, intercostal area injury, which those are terrible injuries, by the way. You've got a quarterback that has that injury. He's got a patellar tendon thing, a cranky knee, as Brian Kelly once called it. Seems to really be affecting his footwork this year, which nobody said. A lot of these people who are ragging on Nuss now and saying he's not hurt, he just sucks. A lot of those same people during fall camp were literally on their knee, needed knee pads for how long they were glazing and on their knees for Nussmeier and how good he was playing. The stuff they would go on and on about his passing and how, he looks like he's taking that next step. And so now it becomes he's not injured. He just sucks. He always had it. Like, I just find that a little disingenuous, don't you? And I'm seeing some LSU fans fall for it. And I just want you guys to know, I just believe what you ever want to believe. Think whatever you want to think. That is like it seems our last right as an American before it gets taken away. My God. So I'm not going to ever try and begrudge someone like, hey, you got to think how I think. That's not me. But with everything I'm hearing, it's quite obvious that Nuss is hurt. From everything Brian, imagine this. Imagine you have a head coach that tells the media on multiple occasions that Nussmeier is hurt, not just in one area, but two areas. But it's not true? What kind of world is that? What kind of head coach is that? What if that's the case, what Mike Scarborough said, and that Nussmeier isn't hurt, he's just terrible, which seems to be like some people's recent take, which is a little like, where did that come from? I think some booster probably put that out there. And if you actually have a big enough reach where their money is actually worth being spent, they'll pay you that money to say certain stuff. You see certain people kind of having trouble having an opinion on things recently in the podcast world. I wouldn't really even call them the media or the journalism world, but the podcast world. You see them kind of having like a little bit of a, oh God, do I say we got to bench Nuss or do I go with MVP? Who's going to pay me more? Who's gonna be giving me the bigger sponsorship? Who's gonna give me more money? Who's gonna give me more top dollar to say what they want? Oh my God! And it's, I would love to get a big sponsorship from someone who's just like, yeah, man, I want LSU to just be great, and I want you to cover LSU for whatever the story takes you, where the story leads you. That'd be great. I'm not ripping on anyone for making money. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about having your conscience, having your soul, having your mouth, your mind be up for sale. That's something that is just anti-Christian, anti-God, in my view. I think if you're a believer, you wouldn't do that. You know what I'm saying? I think if you're a believer in God, you would not sell your mind, your mouth, your soul. But you got to think about this too. When someone tells you that I pay my mortgage with this thing, I do that, so I take it more seriously. I have more to lose than you do. That's bullshit. Our last mistake that we made, I literally got close to an area that was very dangerous because I knew the stakes. of being wrong on stories. I understand the stakes. So A, that's a bullshit statement, to say that, if you're not part of the corporate propaganda arm, you don't understand the stakes, you have nothing to lose. That's bullshit. Maybe for some of these people who are nameless and faceless. I'm not nameless or faceless. But also, it just seemed like, so you are paid for and you have more to lose. So that, and absolutely in those things where, like, for me, yeah, I could lose credibility or these things and it would suck, but I wouldn't lose my family. I wouldn't lose my home, to that degree. Right. But these guys, since they will lose that stuff, they're easily controlled. They're easily told what you're going to put this out there. So my point is I guess it comes down to whether you're your own boss or not, in what you believe or don't. But I really didn't think I'd be talking about this type of stuff, but the Go Team podcast last night, we're talking a lot about the nuts and bolts of the media world, and it was so crazy to hear these perspectives from people, in the fan base, and hear them just kind of their views on a lot of us. And when I was told certain things like that, Nussmeier wasn't even hurt, he just sucked by Scarborough, or this whole thing about be careful where you get your news from. Someone posted that Nuss had surgery and he's gonna be shut down, which I believe this person was absolutely trying to basically ascribe that all to me. I think that person was trying to do something really dirty and trying to manipulate their big audience and say that I was reporting that, when actually what we reported was what Kelly actually backed up. So we actually did everyone's job, even though we have nothing to, we don't lose anything, even though we don't pay our mortgage with it. We actually got LSU's denial, and then of course they denied it again, and of course it turns out that Nuss isn't going to probably have surgery unless everything is AI and the world is upside down. But I felt like that person wasn't only taking shots at me, they were also kind of taking shots at anyone who isn't like part of the propaganda media corps, anyone who's an aspiring journalistic guy, journalistic girl. And I've seen so many of these people quit or fall by the wayside because of not necessarily the difficulties of the job or the grind, but because of that lack of acceptance, that lack of, you were never part of this unless you join this corporate group right here, this cult right here. You'll never be a part of this. And if you see that shot right there, that's me at the LSU USC game, covering the game. And to be treated like you're part of it and actually given all of the status of any of the other journalists there was really cool. And I think it really actually angered quite a couple of those people. I guess it's something you got to go to school for 15 years to do. But I don't know. It's just very, very weird, the gatekeeping of it all. But, and then notice there's times that it's hard for me to even get a spot in the press box at Tiger Stadium. But I could at Allegiant Stadium in Vegas. That should tell you about the politics as well with LSU media. If you cover things they don't want you to cover, if you go outside the lines, you're screwed. If you talk about stuff like this that I'm talking about, you're usually toast. And I feel like this is a huge story. And we're talking about one of the best quarterbacks in the country. And of a huge fall, a huge slide that we don't know how to quite explain. But now I feel like anyone who tries to explain it away as he's just terrible would have to also tell you that Brian Kelly is a head coach who would tell the media twice that his star quarterback is hurt in certain areas for absolutely zero reason. And then you'd also have to tell me that he has suddenly like had his arm cut off or something, because like his arm has been replaced with like the arm of like a 2-year-old or something, because like there is no other way to explain the passing degeneration, all of that. It's clear he is suffering through injuries. It's clear the offense cannot run the football. It's clear Nussmeier does not have a reliable, tough, committed offensive line in front of him. He's also got an injured offensive line too. You've lost some big players, but it's quite obvious to me that it is a combination of issues. It's not just whatever one issue your politics regarding LSU wants to believe. If you want to hate on Nuss, it's he's not injured. He just sucks. He doesn't want to get hit. He doesn't like the contact. He's shying away from contact. It's like watch a full game of him from the end of the 2024 season, where he's got Chris Hilton finally, and so you can see him actually how he throws the deep ball. Okay, and it's not perfect every time. He hasn't had the opportunity to really like sharpen that in a game, but it's 100 billion times better than what we've seen this season as far as the deep ball. It's not even close, guys. It's ridiculous. And I understand there's the narrative out there that Nuss didn't work this offseason, and that he didn't even do the VR, the virtual reality stuff. And that I do know for a fact that him and the receivers could have worked a lot more, could have gotten together a lot more this offseason. But as far as him not using the VR or any of that stuff, I can't speak to that. Maybe others have better information on that than I do. But I don't have information on if he used the virtual reality or not. But there are major questions about his work ethic being thrown out there now. And it just makes me wonder, like, I understand Nuss is compromised with these injuries. The offense is compromised because he can't move as well to extend the plays well enough because of that knee. That knee is keeping him from being as mobile as he was last year. And now the core is keeping him from being able to throw as deeply or as accurately or as with more oomph into tight windows as he was last year. But all of this is moot if you cannot run the freaking football. Because if you can't even just average around like 3.9, 4.2 yards per carry, pretty pedestrian numbers, if you can't even average around that, like you can't do anything, because they're just going to drop 7, they're going to drop 8. You're screwed. So I'm not trying to call anyone out, trying to rip anyone apart, trying to make any enemies or anything, trying to say anyone I know more than everyone or some BS like that. I just think it's a little ridiculous that some in the media are acting like they're the only people who would ever know, that some people in the media are imparting their personal biases into this situation, and maybe coming up with the more fake, the fakest narratives of all, just so that they can get their desire of unseating him at the quarterback position. And maybe Michael Van Buren is going to come in and energize the offense, and he'll be the better option. Maybe that'll work out. But I think it's insane to think that this guy, Garrett Nussmeier, has been like a giant net negative to LSU. There's some people who just absolutely hate his guts and will say anything to make sure you get rid of him. And I know Lauren Christian will be watching this, and she'll be mad at me right now because I'm not hating on Nussmeier nonstop. But Lauren, like, you'd like literally leave him behind in like the eye of a hurricane. You'd be like, oh, Nuss is like, hey, help me, pick me up, and you're like, you'd ram on that gas. Like, it's crazy. It's irrational. But for me, it's like I've got to look at this balanced and objectively. Nuss is hurt. Things are not where we would like them to be. Nuss is not playing well. In fact, he's playing his worst. But you cannot say that the injuries have nothing to do with it. That's absolutely defying reality. And you know it is. And I don't care what some podcaster says. You know, if someone wants to try and drum this up that he's not hurt at all. He's not hurt at all. He's not even close to being hurt whatsoever. Okay, you can believe that. That's fine. Like I said, I will defend and protect your right to believe that. But that is not. Yeah, I don't think that's the full picture here. I think this is quite obviously a mixture of things that are plaguing LSU and the offense right now, and really necessitating some major changes ahead. Let's see some comments. Goose Sports says, yo, what's up, Goose? How you doing, brother? I think this is the first time I've ever seen Goose Sports in one of our chats. Thank you for joining us, brother. And we've got Paul Tarver, a regular. Mr. Paul Tarver, an absolute badass, a gentleman, a squire of tigerhood, Mr. Paul Tarver. He says, even a bad quarterback with an average arm and healthy can put some zip on all throws, 30 to 50 yards downfield. They don't underthrow wide open receivers or floaters on a short seam route. And Nuss hasn't just shown that propensity to be that bad, just like nonstop. Like, no matter what his like biggest haters say, that's just not correct. It's not accurate. He wasn't throwing like absolutely egregious throws like those two to Aaron Anderson just nonstop last year. There were some of those situations, especially in his passing to C.J. Daniels. But he combined well with Aaron Anderson all season, combined well with Mason Taylor all season. Yes, there was a few of those moments, but nothing like this season. Cole Adams says, I stand with you, Lon. 100%. Scone lost all his creds with me today. He was talking about Clemson media not calling out Dabo 4 weeks ago, and he's literally selling the Kool-Aid for lying Brian Kelly today. You know, I really respect and like Matt. And he's someone I still like him. I don't know why. It seems like he has somewhere along the lines lost respect for me and doesn't want to have any association with me. He still follows me. He's still, anytime I've said anything like happy birthday, Drew, for his son or anything like that, he seemed to be like, hey, what's up, for a moment. And there was some talk about having him come back on the show. He was on the show like maybe 3 times last season. And there were some great shows. I thought there were some great shows. Oh no, he came on a few times in 2023, and then just once in 2024. Matt did, but I thought they were great shows. I really liked having him on, and I thought he was a cool dude. I actually would have And I actually was thinking like this would be a cool guy to like have as your mentor. Like you could learn a lot from this dude. But I have noticed, and I'm not sure, he never mentions a name, but there's a few times where he's kind of gone. It feels like he's gone after me directly, but just because he doesn't say the name, it's kind of up in the air. But then he doesn't also acknowledge the fact that he's gotten some pretty big stuff wrong as well. You know, we've had a few clunkers, sure, but it feels like some of these guys can get a clunker every 5 seconds. And he talked about you have nothing to lose, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, bro, show me the last time one of you guys got fired for getting something wrong. Show me the last time that one of you guys were like breaking news or bringing out information and you lost your job because you got it wrong. You never do. Okay, they just like, sweet, you gave us a lot of hits for that. You're going to take a lot of hate for saying Brian Kelly's going to Michigan and then he didn't, but okay, we'll take it. Or, you know, there's just, he also, like us, was tricked by the same exact smokescreen source, fake ass source. He was tricked by the same one that said that Al Davis was going to be the D-line coach, and he was saying that on his show consistently, and we both got that wrong. So I feel like, you know, if he is taking shots at us or going after us, like, okay, that's fine. But dude's gotten a lot of stuff wrong too. The dude started some crazy firestorms too. And that's what you're going to do in this business. And ultimately, if he is taking shots at us, I take it as a compliment. And thank you for allowing us to be part of your show, Matt, in some way, even though I doubt he would ever let us on his show in any way, shape, or form or anything like that. But I respect Matt as a media guy and as a father. And if he doesn't respect us and how we do things, that's fine. That's on him. Crazy with the Cheese Whiz says, keep up the good work. Thank you, brother. Thank you, man. Cole Adams says, you must have been getting really close, Lon. They don't send their media dogs after nothing burgers. You know, it's weird because I talked to some people that you guys would know as big time in like the media management world, guys who are at the top of that food chain. And there's one of those guys who in Baton Rouge who's a really good person. He loves his family. He's a former LSU Tiger. I want to work for this guy. I'm just going to say it out loud. I would love to work for this guy. I'm not going to tell you who he is, but I love this dude. Former LSU Tiger, media manager. Maybe I don't agree with his every move or anything like that. Maybe there'd be some, negotiations to be made. But I love that dude, and I'd absolutely love to work for him. I was talking to that guy, and then I was talking to another guy who has nothing to do with LSU in any way, shape, or form, except for financially. Now he's tied with LSU. And one of the flagships. And because he's part of the flagships, he thinks no matter what, if he hears something, it's gospel. And there's so many times he's almost let us down terrible paths with the information he's given us, almost willingly. I think sometimes he's almost tried to set us up. But luckily, on many of those occasions, he didn't think that we actually knew the player or could just talk to the player and ask him and say, is this going on or whatever. And so we would kind of figure that stuff out. And it would always expose snakes, and it would always be crazy. And I know for a fact what I'm saying here tonight, there are going to be people who are steaming mad at me right now because they know it's true, and they're pissed that it's true. And they're pissed that I've got them pegged. And there's stuff that I don't get right. There's stuff that I've gotten wrong in my life. But notice we will tell you when we screw up. We won't try and hide it. We will own it. I even got criticism for owning my mistake on the Al Davis story. I even got criticism for that. People were like, "What are you doing? Don't admit this. Don't post that. Oh my God, this is the biggest crash out I've ever seen. You just admitted a mistake." And I'm kind of thinking, like, what world are we living in? Like, holy shit. Like, yeah, maybe I did just screw my career up because that's the type of media world we live in, where no one admits they got anything wrong ever. And that's crazy to me. Of course, people get things wrong. Of course. I can name multiple stories for pretty much everyone in LSU media because I remember these things. Whether I want to or not, I remember these things. And I think those people who are going after you in the media, who are sent to do that bidding, maybe they don't always know why they're doing it, but they hate your ass and they want to shut your ass down. That's for sure. So it's very weird. It's very weird. Paul Tarver says, checked out Michael Van Buren video from high school, Mississippi State in second half for Southeastern. Better than average arm, hits deep ball, can escape the rush. Not afraid to hit somebody. Get him ready to answer the bell. Wow. Paul Tarver. Paul Tarver wants MVP in now. Well, here's the thing. I imagine you're watching like highlights. That is what he is capable of. That is what he can do at his best. That is what he can do on these moments where he can be, magnificent. What can he do in kind of the ho hum, run of the mill play? What can he do in kind of a play that kind of favors a pocket passer? Moments of the game that favor a pocket passer, going against defenses that favor a pocket passers. Like, how good is he in those moments? That's what I want to know. How can he manage a game? Because it doesn't look like he can take care of the football well. 7 interceptions to 11 touchdowns. And let's be real here. He did rush for something like 60-something yards, but because of sack adjusted yards, he has negative 12 from 69 carries. I don't care who you are or how many times you rush the ball or set. That's terrible. I mean, that's 69 rushing attempts, and you basically would have only had 65-something yards. But because of sacks, it gives you negative 12. Well, even if we give you the freaking yards, it doesn't really look good. 5 rushing touchdowns does look good. I think Michael Van Buren is someone that you have to take a look at if Nuss does not heal. He's obviously taking the reps. He's obviously being prepared right now. And let's be real. They're doing that because he needs to be ready to play. I think they're going to see if Nuss can go the first series of the game. And if he's physically regressing or regressing as a player, like he's just not feeling it. We're seeing what we saw from this last week. He can barely throw the football. He can barely run. He can barely move. And it's obvious that he's physically limited as well as limited by everything around him. If you see that again, if he never quite gets any healing, you have to play Michael Van Buren. You cannot put your team at risk for another. Like, we could lose to South Carolina. Like, our defense could ball out, and we could lose like 10-6 to South Carolina at home. That can't happen. That just can't happen. If you have to put Michael Van Buren in there and he guts out like a 21-7 win, or like, I don't care. Do it. And maybe Michael Van Buren can jumpstart the offense and get something going. But I'm telling you, if that happens, you cannot switch back, because that's been the big Achilles heel with LSU under Kelly, especially these offenses. Unless it was Jaden Daniels or Malik Neighbors or Brian Thomas Jr., you weren't getting the ball as a hot hand. You weren't getting the ball again. Like, you just weren't. Here, we'll throw you. Oh, you caught a touchdown? Okay, well, you're not going to catch the ball again until the third quarter. And then that'll be your last catch of the game. Thank you. Thank you for your 2 catches, Nick Anderson. Or, hey, Barryon Brown, you're good just getting 40 yards a game, right? Thank you. Thank you for your service. It's ridiculous. So, I mean, what the fuck is going on at LSU? You know, I think it's quite clear that Nuss has aggravated the injury, and they're trying to kind of fight their way through it. They're going to try and kind of heal their way through it, try and gut their way through it with MVB playing here, being pulled out there, Nuss coming back in. I think they're really going to try both quarterbacks. I think they're going to hopefully give Alex Atkins a more enhanced role. I don't know if they're going to do that for a fact. I need to ask those questions and figure that out. I don't know if Brian Kelly is going to start calling the plays. I'm going to ask that and try and figure that out. But you have to do something to see what if there's any possibilities with this offense. And the fact that we can't find any is insane, because I wrote an article. When was it? I think it was early fall camp. And I said, like, is this going to be – the article title is the 2025 LSU offense going to be a juggernaut or a return of 2024's issues? At the time, no one was telling you that this offense would be nothing but a juggernaut or a high-scoring offense. Pretty much every media member was like, the offense won't be the issue. The issue will be if we can figure out the defense. Can Blake Baker, these guys look good, but they're new transfers. And then midway through fall camp, it became, well, this defense is going to be real good. But, okay, can this offense, the offense was kind of disjointed sometimes in 2024. Will that be an issue? So I feel like if you watch this stuff and listen to this stuff and create this stuff like I do, you notice some of the motives or vibes of some of the people. And I'm not trying to say I'm better than anybody or anything like that. I'm not trying to say we have our own faults, and we've got a lot of them. Number one, we're not living in Louisiana. That's number one. Because if we did, I think a lot of things would be different. Let's be real about that. Some of the more vicious haters or people who, at least, I don't care if you like me or not, but at least give our work a little bit of the respect it deserves. Those type of people, usually it's kind of a vibe of, well, he's not from Louisiana, so F him. And I get that. I get why you would favor people who are from the place you're from. I get it. I'm not offended. But I hope people realize I would love to be from Louisiana. I'd love to, some other world, transplant myself there, some weird thing like that, or fly there through some type of transcendental cyborg astral traveling space, then sure. But I think there is kind of a gatekeeping thing going on, and it is I don't know. It's very funny. I think some people took it very seriously, just how influential that post was. I mean, we made a post about Garrett Nussmeier potentially having surgery and us asking LSU about it, and LSU denying that he was going to have surgery. And that was it. We didn't report that he was. We didn't say it. And just that started a firestorm where everyone wanted to know what the hell was going on. I mean, 1,000 times more than what was going on before. It kind of snapped the entire LSU fan base into action. Entire LSU media into action. Entire LSU apparatus into action. So maybe we don't pay our mortgage with what we do, but maybe we will someday. Maybe we will someday. Everybody, I'm taking care of my sick son, and it's crazy. He took a nap. He's 3, and he just took a nap. I mean, like, it's almost like this is back in 2022 or something. He's taking a nap. This is madness. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what what type of planet I'm on where I get to have a son that naps again. This is beautiful. I'm like, oh yeah, I can do a show. Sage, hey Papa, what's up? You want to say hi to all the people Dada's talking to? Want to say hi? Want to say hi? Yeah. Oh, you don't feel good? Yeah. Here, let's give you some Gatorade. Everybody, let's see. I'll run through some comments real quick and then we'll sign off. Cole Adams says, I believe there was a conversation about surgery and you asking about it got nixed. Nuss has a religious faith that won't let him lie. So, come here, bud. Let me hold you. Sorry, guys. I got to take care of him. He's having a moment. He's just not feeling good. But absolutely, thank you guys and have a good rest of your night. We'll be talking to you soon.